completing the 3-pack of games on Saturday because the NFL wants to give participation playoff spots out this year, is Tampa Bay versus Washington. Cut and dry game, right? No, it is not. But wait, Alex Smith might not play a ton. They may play Taylor Hanke. Cut and dry, right? No, it's not cut and dry. On the offensive side of the ball for Washington, we have to talk about their MVP this season. Alex Smith, right? No, it's Dwayne Haskins. Why is it Dwayne Haskins? He's cut. He's no longer on the team. Because at the beginning of the season, a coaching staff that had come up through a Norv Turner tree decided that they had a quarterback that wouldn't succeed unless they helped him. So you saw a lot of Ohio State's offense brought into Washington to simplify the game and make Haskins more efficient. Fast forward to Alex Smith taking over, and they realized, wait, this just works. It doesn't just help Haskins. This offense works. It's simple. It's efficient. It works. And we've had some fun with Washington this year. We thought benching Haskins for Allen was a terrible mistake. Pointed out that the best quarterback on the team was Alex Smith. Got that one right. Said after they lost to the Giants and went 2-6 that they are a 50-50% chance of winning the East. Said that they would lead the division after they beat Dallas in Dallas, and said at the end of the Dallas game that they will win the East with a record of 7-9. If you want to find our gambling information, go up to our banner on our profile. You can find the link on Twitter. If you want to just see or get nuggets from videos that we put out, go down below, hit subscribe, ring the bell. Now, as Washington squares off versus this Tampa Bay defense, you would assume that with the bad Washington offensive line, that this is going to severely tilt in the favor of Tampa Bay. They have a great run defense. It's number 1 in the league. It's not. It was when they had Vita Vea. Since they've lost Vita Vea, it has been trending in the wrong direction as the season closed. You're seeing a lot of teams getting 4-yard per carry type clips out of their running backs against Tampa Bay. And with the possibility that Devin White is out and replaced by Minter, that makes it a little bit worse. Did I say a little bit? I meant considerably worse. So the middle of the field, Lavonte David, still phenomenal. They still have JPP, Shaq Barrett, and Ndamukong Suh. That is some firepower. But it's what happens behind those guys that is the issue. Carlton Davis is beat up and has struggled against ones when isolated all year. Jamel Dean's entire sophomore season has been a train wreck. Sean Murphy-Bunting needs to go down the yellow brick road and get a heart from the wizard because his tackling is atrocious. When my favorite cornerback on your team is Ross Cockrell, yeah, there's some problems going on there. On top of that, Jermaine Whitehead is a phenomenal enforcer and a great blitzer and comes down in the box with ferociousness. He's terrible at everything else. Coverage, his run gap integrity. He makes a lot of mistakes. He makes plays, but he makes a ton of mistakes, which puts a whole lot of weight on Winfield. Winfield's great. He's going to be a phenomenal player, but when you're asking him to do this much, anybody's going to struggle. And with Bowles, you see him either firing on all cylinders, sending blitzes, attacking at will, or you see him playing some of the worst zone defense I have seen this entire season. The game against the Saints, the second game against the Saints, the idea that he went with was one of the most mind-boggling coaching decisions of the 2020 season. It was just a grotesque attempt at zone against a quarterback that you shouldn't zone, and his defense looked like they were confused trying to communicate something when there was nothing to be communicated. And we've seen what happens when Washington faces a defense much like Bowles brings to the table, because they played Pittsburgh and they scored 23 points. And Pittsburgh across the board is better than Tampa Bay's defense. They make less mistakes, less gaffes, more demonstrative in Tuitt and Hayward in the front. They still have the top end pass rusher in TJ Watt. The only area where Tampa Bay is better than Pittsburgh is Lavonte David. So even if Tampa Bay is going to be bringing pressure, Washington's ability to open somebody up simple, quick, is going to get the ball out very quickly. And when you send pressure and you allow an easy open, you don't accomplish anything. And no matter what way this game turns out, either Tampa Bay is going to make those big plays on defense early against an Alex Smith who looked terrible against Philadelphia because he's bailing out of the pocket too soon. He's doing that to protect his calf. He knows that he can't run the way he typically could. So instead of hanging in the pocket and taking extra hits, he's releasing from the pocket too soon. And there were a number of times where a very easy open crosser was in front of him against Philadelphia, and he was already out of the pocket running before he just took one extra beat and took an easy throw for 5, 6, 7 yards right up the middle of the field. If that's the Alex Smith we see in this game, it'll be an avalanche right off the bat. But then Tampa Bay will go into their softer zone. They'll bring less pressure. They'll play more prevent. And this Washington offense will kick into gear and go up and down the field. One way or another, Washington with Smith or with Henke, because of the way that their offensive scheme matches up with this Tampa Bay team, they're going to score some points. Which brings you to the other side of the ball. Washington has an incredible defensive front. Washington is playing some quality defense. But the last time that they played a quarterback who had solid protection, a good play action game going on, and the arm talent to drive the ball 15 to 20 yards down the field and attack that intermediate region of the field was when they played Matt Stafford, who hung 30 on them. The Buccaneers bring to this matchup one of the best offensive lines in the NFC playoffs. And that will slow down Washington. This isn't Russell Wilson trying to attack deep down the field with an offensive line that can't pass block. This is a team that can actually keep Brady some time. And what you heard on a broadcast, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, is that Brady made mention that because of the climate in Tampa Bay, he hasn't gotten as much in-practice work on the side with his wide receivers, building timing and building chemistry. Now, you can read into that as like PR spin or whatever, all you want. But it is known that it is very important that Brady is a rhythm, timing, precision-based quarterback. And if anything was off kilter, and it sure looked like it was, getting that chemistry, getting that timing with his wide receivers is going to bring his game up considerably. It is what makes him. So if in this last month we've finally seen Brady get the reps needed to build in the chemistry with his wide receivers, then this Tampa Bay offense sparking to life here is legitimate. It is truly going to be a much more powerful offense going down the road. Now, Brady isn't the quarterback you want to see attacking the ball down the field very much. His deep field throws, they are lacking. But there is a matchup with the Washington defense that is to his benefit enough that he should take that opportunity, and that is Darby. With all due respect to Darby, when he plays against big physical wide receivers, he loses 100% of jump balls. He loses jump balls. He is just not a player who's able to physically anchor against bigger wide receivers. He will either see Evans or Godwin. That is a loss. So that is where Tampa Bay can take some big shots down the field and really make hay on that. As much as I like the Washington defense, there are a few pieces that are missing, specifically the free safety position. They tried Apke, he has no instincts. They put Everett in, he got hurt. They're now playing Reeves. This is a team that traditionally has strong safeties that are playing at a quality level, but they're continuously missing that free safety piece, and that's something Washington has to look for going down the road in this Ron Rivera system, but it is a way to exploit them in this game. I love Kendall Fuller. I love the work that's being done by the slot corners. They're very physical. They come up the field. If you throw screens and short stuff in front of them, that's where they like to live. But when you can hold off the defensive line for a long enough time to get that 10, 15, 20-yard shot, the intermediate that Brady loves to live in, that Arians offense loves to live in, that's where they get diced. That's where they get cut to pieces, and that's where this defense folds. So there are many people that believe Tampa Bay is hot right now, and they're just going to roll over this Washington team. And it's entirely possible if Alex Smith is still guarding his calf and if Washington makes some early game turnovers. That will get the ball rolling, and that will move this game heavily to Tampa Bay. But if you think Washington can't score with this team, with the efficient offense that they play when they match up with this Tampa Bay defense, you've got another thing coming. Because this Washington offense actually lines up very well versus this Tampa Bay defense. Between the 20s, they are going to move the ball very efficiently. The only time you have to be a little concerned with Washington is, do they have to settle for field goals in the red zone? And at what point in time, if they're settling for field goals, does this game just devolve into prevent on the Tampa Bay side? Because we saw Atlanta have a ton of success versus them. Atlanta has a pretty bad offensive line. They were down Julio. McLaurin is as good of a matchup versus anybody in Tampa Bay as Ridley. They have Steven Sims Jr., Logan Thomas, Cam Sims. These are not household names, but they are playing effective football. On top of that, anytime you get Antonio Gibson or McKissick away from Levante David, that's going to be a winning situation as well. There's just too much space in this Tampa Bay defense when they sell out on their blitzes. And Washington has a lot of quick hitters to get into that space and exploit it. The run defense from Tampa Bay has been dragging downward in the wrong direction for the last a couple months. And if Tampa Bay plays zone, the zone they play is extremely soft, extremely ugly, and leaves way too many easy shots for this Washington offense. The Tampa Bay defense has its strengths, has a ton of talent, and has matchups that play very much so in their favor. This really isn't one of them. So expect Washington to put up a little bit more of a fight than you'd expect. But if Brady gets going on that 10 to 15 yard passing game, they get the play action going, and they can stall out this elite Washington pass rush and defensive line, then Tampa Bay is going to score quite a bit. 3 games down, a whole bunch more to go. Make sure you go down below, hit subscribe, ring the bell, so that you can make sure you see all these playoff videos we'll be putting out this year. There's also going to be other things, specifically quarterbacks. We're starting to get to that point in time in the draft. And go to our profile. Follow us on Twitter, because that's where our gambling advice will be. I love you guys. We need you. Stay strong, and I'll see you on the other side.